This was our 9-day itinerary all around Turkey, seeing some of the country's highlights. Obviously, Turkey is massive. You would need a lifetime to explore it all, but here's what we did manage to see in 9 days. This was one of the best trips I have ever been on. It's a given that you're gonna have to stop at the Istanbul airport, so this, of course, was the first leg of our trip. When we arrived to our hotel/Airbnb, it was in this really nice area called Beyoğlu, but like on the outer part of it, so not in the really touristy area, which was great because we actually felt super safe here. Day one, we really just spent exploring and getting our bearings before a really busy day two. Day two, we went with a local tour guide and saw all of the main highlights and sights to see in Istanbul. Again, it is a huge city. There's no way we could have done all of this in the 3 days that we were there. The areas around like Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque are definitely where, especially as a woman, you need to be mindful and be prepared for a lot of men approaching you and catcalling you and also trying to sell you things. Day three was our other full day in Istanbul before we headed over to Cappadocia on day four. Istanbul might be the only airport with direct flights to Cappadocia. There are 2 airports there when you arrive. We accidentally flew into the further one, so it took us about 2 hours with traffic to get into Cappadocia. So if you can, I would suggest flying in and out of Nevşehir Airport. We left from Nevşehir and it was like a 20-minute drive. I've been posting nonstop about our Cape Hotel because it quickly became one of my favorite places I've ever stayed. So day 5, we woke up at sunrise to watch the hot air balloons, and then we did some shopping, relaxing, and excursions. I fell in love with Cappadocia, but honestly, you really don't need more than 3 days here. There's not a lot to do outside of these excursions, which can be very costly. The hot air balloon rides themselves are extremely expensive. Day 6, I did one more excursion at sunrise before we headed over to the airport in the afternoon. We did fly out of Nevşehir this time to get to the last leg of our trip in Bodrum. There are not direct flights, so we did have a connection back in Istanbul, which made us miss our flight. So then we got to Bodrum pretty late at night on day 6. We stayed at the most incredible all-inclusive adults-only resort, so days 7 and 8 were really just spent laying on the beach, eating a lot of food, going to the spa, going to the gym, and reading. When we headed back to Paris on the 9th day, I really thought about extending my trip because I fell in love with Turkey.